Hello BookTube, it's Louise from Big Head Bookworm. It's lovely to see you again. Thank you for inviting me back. Okay, you didn't, but I've come back anyway. So today what I'd like to do is talk about the books that I read in 2015 that made an impact on me, that made an impression that I would like to share with you. The only thing is the first book I suspect I did actually read at the end of 2014, but I've never heard anybody speak about it, and I think it's one of those books that I would really love more people to read. I think there's a lot that people can get out of it. It's on my Kindle, and you can't actually see the lady's first name, but it's Sonia Choquette. Sonia Choquette, and it's called Walking Home, A Pilgrimage from Humbled to Healed. It's a memoir about her walk on the Camino de Santiago, which is a pilgrimage. It goes from France to across the top of Spain to just above the top of Portugal. It's a long one. I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of miles. People take weeks, months to walk it, and you are to walk it with no aid. You're not to use any taxis or buses. You're to walk the lot, and she chose to walk it at a time that was quite devastating in her life. She'd lost her brother, then she lost her father, both very sudden, and her marriage was going through a period of tremendous upheaval, tremendous change. The glare of that's a bit horrible. And so she decided to do this as a challenge to herself, and she chose to do it without any assistance. However, she sent her luggage on, so her luggage would go to a hostel every night and she would have to walk to it. She was walking between 13 up to about 25 miles a day, but these are over serious, not hills, mountains, and she started it completely unprepared. And it is a phenomenal memoir that just has made me want to walk the Camino de Santiago. I'd heard of it before, I'd heard of the pilgrimage, I've heard of how amazing it is, how it can strip you back to your bare essentials, and then it can rebuild you should you approach it in a spiritual healing manner. Also physically it's tremendously demanding, but if you continue with it then your strength grows. It sounds amazing. A lot of it's about the tales of the people that she met on there. Sonia Choquette is a very well-known spiritual author, presenter. She does a lot of courses. She's an intuitive. It's just phenomenal. It really is absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going to do the glare again. Oh, that's better actually. There you are. I can see Sonia Choquette, Walking Home. So that was one of my first books that I read. I think I read it in 2015. It might have been 2014, but it's well worth it. And if you enjoy those kind of spiritual memoirs, which I do, I absolutely am a sucker for them, then I completely recommend it. Second book, I think I read this in the mid-year. This was actually up for the Baileys. The Baileys Women's Prize for Fiction, and it is The Bees by Louise Paul. And I loved it. I really loved it. It's called, it says Accept, Obey, Serve on the back. And it's Flora, 717 is a survivor, born into the lowest class of the totalitarian hive society. She's prepared to sacrifice everything for the queen. So it is written from the perspective of a bee. And although I'd heard of hive minds and heard about what happens in a hive, and of course this is completely imagined, as in Louise Paul is not a bee, it is phenomenal. I really enjoyed it. And it is so gripping. It is so gripping. There isn't a mystery or anything like that, but it is just an amazing piece of fiction, and I recommend anybody try it. I suppose if you like science fiction or you like magical realism, then you'd be more open to it. You'd be more, you find it easier to get into it, but I loved it. So well worth that. The Bees, Louise Paul. Third book is a thriller I thoroughly enjoyed. It's a chunky one. It's called I Am Pilgrim, which I believe is coming out as a film now. It is by Terry Haynes. It's quite large. Oh, you zoom through it. Oh, I loved it. I read this over the summer, and I wasn't on holiday or anything, but it just was so great. It was so great. It's called I Am Pilgrim. A young woman murdered in a rundown Manhattan hotel. Her father publicly beheaded in the blistering sun of Saudi Arabia, and I Am Pilgrim is a secret agent, and oh, it is brilliant. It's a really good. It's a thriller. It's a who done it, why done it, will he get there in time book. Brilliant. Thoroughly enjoyed it. raced through it, even though it is a chunker. Okay, so that's well worth a go. Now I am using this one. It's Jill Salvis. Now this is the Lucky Harbour series. I saw this on Eleanor Loves to Read, Eleanor Loves Reading, Eleanor Loves Reads channel. I've got her name completely wrong. Anyway, her channel, Jill Salvis, she mentioned her. This is the third one in the 12 book series. They are romance novels. I suppose it's contemporary is the Goodreads category. This is the third one in the series. I've got the first two on my Kindle, and then I'm starting to pick up the others. They're not cheap for a contemporary. They're $8.99. I like these covers. Some of the other covers, but anyway, this is it. It's a really fast-paced romance read. They're just really good. They're really good in their genre. I think they're one of the best. I've read a lot of romance books. They're so formulaic, as is this, but I really enjoyed it. So this is the third one. It comes in blocks of 3. You have 3 female characters, and one by one in each book you have a different heroine and a different hero, and it's their story within this town of Lucky Harbour in, I don't know where it is, Maine or somewhere like that, but it's fab. Really enjoyable, fabulous, quick, easy reads. Go for it. Jill Salvis. Now this is the book that actually made me think I want to join BookTube, because I want more people to read this. I want more people to read this book. I thought it was phenomenal. It's called The Important Artifacts and Personal Property, from the collection of Lenore Doolan and Harold Morris, including books, street fashion and jewellery. And it is a graphic novel in the form of an auction catalogue. And you start from lot whatever, and 1001, and it just goes through, as you can see, and it has descriptions with each lot 1121, a group of gift items, and then you read each one, and at first it feels really contrived, and why am I going to love this? But within 5-6 pages I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. It's telling the story of their relationship, Lenore Doolan and Harold Morris, and you get such a feel of who they are through all of their belongings. It is stunning. It is such a good book. It's not cheap. I couldn't find it anywhere under a tenner. It's £12.99. And then it's actually quite hard to get hold of. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's by the end of the book, I was wondering, are these actually real people? No, this is fiction. It is fiction, but no, are they real people? It's just amazing. I think I come from a slightly theatrical background, so I studied theatre for a long time, and so I guess I'm used to the idea of taking things through the visual medium and using images more than text, and so I do love that kind of work anyway, not just in the graphic novel sense, but as in using that kind of language and semiotics, I suppose, in some ways. And I got it. It just was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's one of my best books of this year, and it's one of those books I would love to say to everybody: read it. It is stunning. It is absolutely stunning. It's so theatrical and it's so exciting, and it's just heartbreaking, and loved it. Nice bit of glare on it, but yeah, there we are. Important Artifacts. Buy it, read it, own it. It's wonderful, wonderful. This was a book that was lent to me by somebody. It's called The Book of Shadows by Phyllis Curott, and she's a Wiccan high priestess, and it's a book about how she gets into the wisdom of witchcraft and the magic of the goddess. It's a fantastic read. She is a practicing witch in New York State, I think. She's quite high up in that coven, and this is how she got into it from the 1970s. She was an entertainment lawyer. No, they sound like a shifty, shady lot. And it's how she got into witchcraft from somebody that had no background in it whatsoever. And it's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal read. It's very atmospheric. It is, they say it's a memoir, and she says it's a memoir, and it's just really, really fascinating, and gives you such an insight to that kind of life. Completely recommend. Okay, this is my Only two more. Crimson Petal and the White by Michelle Faber. It came out years ago. And every so often it pops up, somebody says, oh, I found it. And when it originally came out, I was like, yeah, it's a bit of a big book, isn't it? And it's, you know, it's a junky one. And it's literary fiction. And one of my bestest friends read it at the time and adored it. But things that she said about it didn't make me kind of think, I'll pick that up. The way she was going on about it, I thought it was going to be hard going. I thought it was going to be very worthy. I thought it was going to be one of those books that you say, yes, I have read this, and that you want people to know that you've read it because it's worthy reading, rather than reading that you don't tell other people about. It's the books that you kind of say, oh yes, I've read this. And I picked it up, and then I saw it in a a pub's bookcase for 50p. And I thought, well, okay, you know, it should be kind of £12 something. 50p? 50p? Okay, it's a well-worn copy, but I don't mind such things. I thought, well, okay, I'll give it a go. And I have to say, within seconds, I was hooked. It is literary fiction. It says, step into Victorian London and meet a host of unforgettable characters, including our heroine, Sugar, a young woman trying to drag herself up from the gutter any way she can. And it's adult, has lots of adult themes, lots of adult language, quite powerful in that respect, a little bit eye-opening, but phenomenal. I absolutely loved it, and for such a large book, I shot through it. I absolutely shot through it because I couldn't put it down. And it's lyrical and poetic and absorbing and fast-paced and glorious, utterly glorious. Now, when anybody reads it, they always talk about the ending because it is abrupt, and it's like real life. Sometimes people go out of your life and you don't hear what has happened to them, and I would have to say this is just like it. It stops and you go, what? And I got the feeling that perhaps he wrote another chapter and then just didn't include it. It was amazing, amazing, amazing book. It has lived with me, this book, so I recommend that. So those are my books that I would say you must read. The other book I would like to talk about, which is a notable book from this year, is not one I've read, but is one that my son has read. And it is The Brilliant World of Tom Gates by L. Pichon. And we have now the entire series. This is the one we started with, and I bought it to him on the recommendation of somebody else. My son is 7, and they said, oh, well, if he's a reader, which he is, a huge reader. Hello, Benedict. And they said, well, if he's a reader, then he may well like this because it has lots of cartoons all the way through, telling the story, as you can see. But, I mean, they're decent-sized books for a 7-year-old. I mean, they're 240-odd pages, and there's an entire series of them. I think there's 8 of them, 8 or 9 of them out now. And he just loved it. He loved it. And we bought some of them on holiday, and I took him two on holiday, expecting him to take the entire fortnight to read those. And he read those within the first day. We had to go and buy some more because they're just so good. And he would recommend them if he was here, which he'd like to be. But if he was here, he would recommend them. And I just think they're absolutely great. And although they are out and about, I think people think they're for kind of 9, 10, 11-year-olds. And they're not just for boys. Girls could read them as well, easily, and get as much out of them. So they're my recommendations for girls and boys are between 7 up, because my boy's 7 and he adores them. So yeah, so that's it. So that was another notable book of 2015. And next time I see you, I should be talking about the books that I am going to fit into 2016. I don't really do TBRs, but I'm going to put a selection of books that I am going to read in 2016 and see what you think about them. It's been lovely chatting. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you again.